Good morning and welcome to the Pondering Show here on WKUR-FM, your country road. I'm your host, Doug Ponder, and I'm coming to you live here at the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studios in the heart of Renfro Valley. Well, Christmas is over and a brand new year is upon us. All I got to say about that is, yippee. A lot of people, they tend to get excited about the start of a new year because they see it as a way for them to start over fresh with a clean slate, and it's a brand new time. Now, these upbeat people that get all excited every new year are the same ones that make New Year's resolutions, but these overly optimistic people are the same ones who try to encourage us pessimistic people, like myself, to make New Year's resolutions. I listened to them last year and made my New Year's resolutions for the brand new 2014 year, but when December came, of course, I still hadn't met all my New Year's resolutions. So I figured I'd just roll them over to this year. Kind of like the cell phone companies used to do with those rollover plans they had back in the 90s. But I'm not the only one that didn't meet my New Year's resolutions. Sources say that Santa Claus didn't meet his New Year's resolutions either. Uh-oh, the big jolly red fella just needs to take my advice and roll his resolutions over too. But poor old Santa, this has been a hard year on him, and it's affected the North Pole as well. Here's the deal. They say Santa had a 2014 resolution to reorganize the workforce of his elves to meet the demand of this generation's kids. But the problem is, very few elves actually learned their new trades. Now, one example of this is he wanted the elves that used to make the jack-in-the-boxes for decades, he wanted them to start making iPads. Because let's face it, kids these days, they don't want a doll that pops out of the box after it gets wound up too tight. Instead, they want these expensive gadgets and electronics and stuff like that. The jack-in-the-box, that's a thing of the past. But now these old-school jack-in-the-box elves, they had a lot of problems making these iPads. They struggled because they couldn't figure out how to get the doll to pop out of the iPad screen. The elves said the iPads was too small and that they didn't have much to work with. When Santa made his rounds to inspect the toys, he was furious. And he will probably end up firing all of them and replacing them with machines, kind of like our world's happened. But it sounds like he's going to have to replace them with machines anyway, because statistics show at the North Pole that an alarming high percentage of elves are currently drawing unemployment benefits. But here's the catch with that. They say there's actually more jobs available at the North Pole than there are elves on unemployment. How does that happen? And it kind of seems like something that's never been seen before, or is it? Well, maybe Santa and the rest of us New Year resolution failures can get things straightened out in 2015. And if we don't, we can just roll them over to next year. But enough about this New Year's resolution failures. We have a great show lined up for you today about martial arts and the practicing and learning different types of self-defense techniques. So stay tuned and don't go away. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR 94.9, your country road. We are joining you live here at the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studio in Renfro Valley. Now, our guest this morning is a well-known MMA fighter throughout Kentucky, and he is also the general manager and an instructor at Elite Martial Arts in Madison County. Harry Hunsucker, it's an honor to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and we're just going to go ahead and shoot from the hip here and go right into the bread and butter of it. And now explain to us exactly what is martial arts, because it's often a term that's used loosely by the general public just to say it's karate or something, but is it the same thing as karate?
Karate is a type of martial art, and martial arts is basically a system or practice of combat that is developed by people from each walk of life. Like you have, Japanese jiu-jitsu, you have Brazilian jiu-jitsu, okay. And both of those are, each different in themselves. And again, there's multiple different styles of karate. Karate is more of a general term, but martial arts is basically a system of self-defense or combat practice.
Okay, and it's like you explained, so there's different types of martial arts. Now, what are those, and how are they different from each other?
As for different types of martial arts, man, we could go on all day about.
I could imagine, yeah.
About, what different styles there are. I mean, the big ones that you have right now are forms-based arts like Taekwondo and Tang Sudo, things of that sort. And then you have like martial arts that are based towards sport competition, like Muay Thai is a kickboxing art.
Okay.
And then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is based a lot in sport use, but it has some self-defense techniques as well. And then you have things like Krav Maga that we teach at Elite, which is based solely for people who want to learn how to defend themselves. And, then they also want to lose weight and get in shape, too.
Okay.
So, you have lots of different martial arts.
Now, do they or is new forms created throughout life, or are all these forms old, or some more older than other ones? Or
now, if you're talking about like Taekwondo, which is is a very old martial art, all the forms are kind of set in stone. Whenever I learn forms, they've been passed down from generation to generation, and they're in writing somewhere. I haven't seen it, but now as for Krav Maga, we're constantly developing the techniques because there's things that work better, and there's different.
And the world's changing too.
Exactly, you have to change with the world. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And now you're all at Elite. Now, what are the different forms y'all teach there, and why do you teach those forms?
Okay, so at Elite we teach the kids martial arts, which is Taekwondo, and we also have that for adults as well, which is where you want to get your that's where you get your black belt, and it's heavily based in forms, which is patterns. It's kind of like dance moves for martial arts is what we refer to that as. And then we also incorporate kickboxing, kicks, and some self-defense in there, because the way that we see it, every kid needs to know how to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And it gives them a lot of confidence knowing how to do that too. Now we also teach, we do a lot of fitness classes. We have 4 fitness kickboxing classes per week at our Berea location, and we offer 5 at our Richmond location. And then the last thing that we offer is Krav Maga, and we blend that with MMA too for people who want to get into the sports side of things, and also for the people that want to learn how to defend themselves.
Okay. Now, and that leads me to think about this question real quick. Now, how do people know which form of martial arts is right for them, or which form is right for their child? Is there like guidelines they can follow based off of weight or age or interest or something like that?
Well, it really depends on what you personally want to do. Like if I want, technically speaking, if I wanted to become an MMA fighter, I'm not going to join a traditional Taekwondo class, because you don't run forms in an MMA fight. And you also, like, if I wanted to learn how to defend myself, but I don't want to, ever step in the cage, then I obviously want to take something like Krav Maga, which isn't based in sport, because how many times are you going to be in a self-defense situation where you're going to be grappling against somebody who's a high-ranked person in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that, people can come to you all and talk about, and you can kind of give them guidelines, point them in the right direction, or they can go on the internet too, or something to Google it or something.
Oh yeah. One thing that we do at Elite, we do a beginners program where you can try out the class and see if you like it, and you can actually, we give you a month worth of lessons and some of the equipment that you need for a small fee, and then you get to try out whatever you want, because it's kind of like ice cream. You don't know what kind you like until you try it out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then once you, or if you're not satisfied with one, you want to do another one, they can try it out until they find the one they want. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we offer unlimited memberships, because a lot of people that come in the door, they want to try everything. They look a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the concerns of some parents you often hear about who think martial arts teaches their children to be, more aggressive. Now, you're listening to the Pondering Show on WKUR 94.9. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR 94.9, your country road. We are in the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studio with martial arts instructor and MMA fighter Harry Hunsucker. Now, Harry, we've talked about the different forms of martial arts, and now we're going to move into more of the concerns that parents often probably come to you all about. Now, does martial arts teach kids to be more aggressive?
Well, I don't believe that martial arts teaches kids to be more aggressive. They do teach them, how to defend themselves when the case comes. But, big things that we focus on at Elite is teaching kids, how to be more confident, how to be more self-disciplined, how to practice self-control. That way they don't have the desire hurt
Yeah.
anybody. They come into the school, they get their sweat in, and they get a little bit of aggression out. That's one reason that a lot of parents come to us too, is because it's a huge stress reliever. When you relieve all that stress, you're not angry anymore.
That's true. Yes, and I've heard somebody come to me once and said, and here's a story. I don't know what kind of martial arts he was taking. He's actually one of my family members, but he said that he took it with his son. I think it was karate or something, and that the karate instructor told him, he said, because he had problems with migraines. And he said, when you start taking this class, he said, those headaches will go away. And, my uncle's just like, well, yeah, right. But he said, shockingly enough, he said they did. And he said each practice, like you said, it kind of is a stress reliever, and it relieves all that. For some people, it can help with different things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like exercise, you release a lot of chemicals that help your body become more stress free. They even help you sleep better at night.
Yeah.
And then with martial arts, you get some real world self-defense training, and you get a type of confidence that just working out alone doesn't provide you with, because now, if somebody attacks you, there's potential that you can, you can come out on top, come out the victor in that altercation.
And I've also heard, you all and some others too, that they actually don't teach aggression. They teach people not to be aggressive, but they teach more, like you said, the confidence and defense type thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we don't teach aggression at all. I mean, of course, unless you want to do mixed martial arts or something,
right.
then you do have to be aggressive, but that's in a very controlled environment. You know what you're going to the event for that day to compete in to compete in the mixed martial arts competition.
Now, does martial arts, they do make kids more confident in themselves, and how do they do that? How do y'all do that?
Well, the first thing is they get kids in shape. Everybody feels much better whenever they're in shape, whenever they've been working out, and they've been. Of course, you have to eat right too. Yeah. Whenever they've been eating right, and the second thing is, they know how to defend themselves now. If somebody applies some of the moves that we do are like escape from a front choke. What if somebody's choking me and they have me against the wall? Yeah. If we teach kids how to do that, we're arming them with a sense of confidence that they can't really get anywhere else. And then the last thing is, we do a lot of kickboxing at elite, and through kickboxing, I mean, every kid needs to know how to throw a punch, we think, but they're not going to use it, in theory, unless they have to have to protect their life. Yeah. And then the last thing is they meet a lot of friends there. It always improves your confidence. It makes you better whenever you have friends. Like one thing that Master Schneider says is start collecting friends from a young age, because you're going to need them whenever you progress in life. Yep,
and those true best friends, they never leave you.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And I was thinking of something too. Is on your Facebook, there was a parent that had a child, and that was in martial arts, and she was really talking really heavily on you all, and how good you all did, because she was afraid to get up and speak. Her child was afraid to get up and speak in front of people, and that you all helped with that, and even things like that, just to have children together in a group, doing something, being around, speaking, it helps in so many more ways people don't realize sometimes, don't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in college, I was reading a study about, what people were most afraid of in life. Yeah. And it actually said that people are more afraid to speak in public than people have fear of death. So, one thing that we try to do at Elite is get the kids out front a little bit. We ask them lots of questions, and we give them praise whenever they do, of course. Yeah. That way it makes them feel good about speaking. And then, sometimes we let kids lead warm-ups. We let them, run the form, teach a kid that just started the form, things like that. So, I mean, we definitely give kids a lot of confidence. We help them, get more confident about speaking in public, too.
Yep, and they need that. And if they learn it at that age, it helps them when they get to the adult age. Because if they don't, it's hard. It's a lot more difficult for, adults to try to speak if they haven't done it their whole entire life before. And you touched on this too. We're going to come back to this. Now, the martial art, how much does it help fight obesity rates in children and people in general?
Well, I mean, it depends on what exactly you're doing.
Yeah.
It depends on the style of martial arts you do. It definitely has to be intense, whatever you do. Like some people say that you can't get a good workout running Taekwondo forms. I know that that's not true though, because I've done it many a times, and you can get a good sweat in running forms.
Yeah.
You just have to be doing them the right way.
Yeah.
Now that's one of the big reasons why we incorporate a lot of kicks and kickboxing into our system.
Okay.
Is because we want you sweating. There's 3 rules that we have when you're on the floor. We want you to be smiling, sweating, and learning.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, now the upper body, and that's probably where that's coming from. People think the upper body you don't get as much of a workout, but like you said, when you add in lower body kicks and you add in everything, it's a total package.
Absolutely, yeah. It's probably one of the best core workouts there is. That's your whole body.
And we touched on this too, and that helps children as well. And I'm speaking from my own personal and people I know. Children they often struggle in the middle school, high school age. You got the bullying and all that stuff, and the loss of confidence. They're just children are going through so much during those times, and to lose weight through something like that would be great for them. That helps them so much through that time.
Absolutely,
and that's a hard thing during that time period for them. Now, and we touched on this too. We're going to come back to it. Does children learning martial arts, how does that help prevent bullying in schools?
Well, as for preventing bullying, the biggest thing with kids is we arm them with a sense of confidence. Like if they're ready and willing to stand up for themselves if things come blow to blow, and we do bully-proof talks in all of the local schools in Madison County, and we teach kids techniques how to beat a bully using their brains instead of their fists.
Great.
One thing that we tell the kids is any joker can get into a fight. It takes a real smart guy to avoid the fight and use his brain. And, a couple of the techniques that we use, we tell kids to ignore them. We tell them to walk away, tell a teacher. We also teach them techniques to kind of defuse the situation, like using humor and trying to make the bully their friend, because, it's always best if you can try to make a bully your friend and try to turn them over to the good side.
Well, see, that's just middle school in general. I remember all of us when we were middle school, somebody could be mad at each other arguing one day, and the next day they're best friends again.
Yeah.
It's just such a time. It's so changing all the time.
I think that happens more with guys, though. I think when girls get mad at each other, they hate each other.
Yeah, that's pretty much in stone. Yeah, when that happens. Now, guys know, Now, and I know as a parent, this everything you just said, for parents as well, to hear that, you're not teaching them to be a bully, but you're teaching them how to defend themselves against bullies and diffuse situation, and that's a huge thing.
Absolutely. And one thing that I think is good whenever parents, if their kid is bullying, to enroll them in classes at Elite 2, because it teaches self-control, self-discipline, many things that kid may need to see too. I think everybody, of course, I'm supposed to tell you that, but I think everybody should be doing martial arts. I don't care where it is. I just think that it's a huge benefit.
And you don't hear that argument much, that, if you have a kid that's having bullying problems and you're a parent and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what do I do with him? You don't hear that too often, but to put them in martial arts, like you said, would probably be good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, one thing that a lot of people don't think about too, and I know this is kind of a tangent, but one thing that we tell the kids is, if they stick with martial arts long enough to get their black belt, that's something that they can also put on their resume too, because before the time that you can get a job legally, you can take martial arts, and it shows that you dedicated yourself to something for 3 to 5 years, and I think that's something awesome to put on a resume.
Yep, because when it comes to resumes, anything that shows you've been dedicated to something from a child, that is huge, and that's true. Now, is there an age limit that for parents for putting children into martial arts? Is there a certain age that you advise, or what do you all suggest?
We start at age 4 for us. Of course, it could be different other places, but we find that 4 is a good age to get kids started. They're starting to get good motor skills, communication skills, are getting where they need to be, and as for how old you can do martial arts, I mean, we have people that do martial arts. I mean, we've had students that are in their 60s. Of course, it's all about how your body reacts, young or old. How your body responds to the training.
And do you have certain like, do you put them in groups based off ages? I guess that'd be huge too.
We do.
Yeah.
We do 4 and 5 year olds together, and then advanced 5-year-olds we put in with 6 to 10 year olds.
Okay. Yeah, because that way they can be with their peer group, age group.
And there's different things that we focus on in each class too. Like with 4 and 5-year-old kids, we're working on making them good students because they've never been a student anywhere too. Because you got to look at it like that. They probably just entered preschool and kindergarten, and they're learning how to be a student at school. So we have to teach them that in martial arts as well. Now with 6 years and older kids, they've been in school for a year or two. They know how that works, and they know exactly who a teacher is. We don't have to teach them that.
That's cool. Okay.
So now we just focus on making them good martial arts students at that age.
Okay, well that's good, and that's so needed there.
And as they get more dedicated to it, it's just like pouring gas on a fire, man.
It just ignites. They ignite with it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They catch on. Well, good deal. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about self-defense and all this in the world going on, and whether or not everyone should learn self-defense techniques to protect themselves in this crazy world we live in. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR-FM 94.9, your country road. We are joined in the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studio with MMA fighter and martial arts instructor Harry Hunsucker. Now we've talked about the issue of parents being concerned about their child bullying and being too aggressive and all that. We addressed all that. Now we're going to move into the whole self-defense side. That's a big topic in today's world with a lot of stuff going on in the news and just some crazy things happening everywhere. Now, what all does Krav Maga? I cannot pronounce that.
It's Krav Maga.
Okay, I'll learn eventually. Now, what all does that teach people? Is it just simply a or learning self-defense techniques, or is there more to it?
Well, of course, there's self-defense techniques with any martial art that you do. Krav Maga is a martial art, but it's more commonly referred to as a self-defense system.
Okay.
And what Krav does is it takes flinch reactions that your body makes. Like if somebody puts their hands around your throat, what do? You bring your hands up and you try to clear those out of there.
Okay.
And then we followed up with combatives. So what you have whenever any Krav technique, it's got 3 steps to it. It has the what we refer to as you have to get rid of the danger. Number 1, like if somebody's choking me and they're pushing me backwards, number 1, I have to stop the backwards motion. Number 2, I have to defend against the choke because those are the 2 dangers. And then we add in what's called a simultaneous counter because I'm definitely more able to get your hands from around my throat if I kick you in the groin first.
Okay.
So then we do a simultaneous counter, and then we follow that up with combatives. One thing that we practice is if people, we're not violent people. If we do Krav, we're people that if we get attacked, we want to be more perfected at, defending ourselves and, winning in a situation like that than our attacker, because most people who attack you, probably aren't skilled martial artists because they don't have that, they don't have that self-discipline.
Yeah.
So as for, is Krav Maga just a bunch of techniques? One of the big things that we do is try to instill the mindset in them, in our students first. Krav is commonly referred to as a 0 to 60 martial art. Like it'll take you from off the couch to being able to intelligently defend yourself in the fastest time possible.
Okay, so this is a style that for anyone who's never had any type of martial arts training, karate, whatever it be, they can just jump right into this pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. With any martial art, in theory, you should be able to just jump right in. Okay. Of course, every person progresses differently, though.
Yeah. Okay. And now you touched on this too. Does learning that make people? How does it make people feel more safer and confident? And what are those reasons?
Well, number 1 is you're getting the workout in there, and whenever you come and take one of our Krav Maga classes, it's a very strenuous class, and we always finish up class with something called a stress drill. And what that is it's a drill to see how can I defend myself in a real fight situation whenever I'm tired, I can't breathe, I'm sweating, and I've got somebody on top of me. Like, a lot of times we'll group small women with, bigger men, because in the real world, how often are you going to be mugged by someone that's your size? It's normally somebody that's bigger than you, and they see themselves as a threat to you and your prey.
Okay, and it's like you said too. This helps people, but it also helps people too getting in shape. And how often do people need to practice this? Is it on a weekly basis or 2-3 times a week? Or?
Now, are you talking like if they want to lose weight? How often?
Yeah,
do they need to practice
if they want to lose weight.
Well, normally from and this is just me speaking from the few years that I've been doing this, I've been teaching martial arts for about 5 years now. And as for consistency in training, the people that come in 2 times a week are, they're right at, the plateau, I guess you would say. People who come in, I've got a couple of people that come to Elite that are there every single day, and those are the kids that you see whenever they come into class. They get sweaty, and they're really on top of their stuff, and they do good in competitions as well as parents. Their parents are adult students.
Okay.
Most of our adult students are parents of their children.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and we say families that kick together stick together.
That's
really,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But the people who come, the more you come, the better it's going to be for you. Like we have a lady that goes to our Richmond school that I think's lost 80 pounds.
Oh wow!
Yeah, working out with us, and of course she's watching what she eats. Too.
Yeah, and just doing that. But she's not had to have any weight loss surgeries or some type of diet pills or nothing like that. She's just done that.
Yes.
That's amazing. And you pretty much get what you want out of it. If you want to lose a lot of weight, you'd come more than 2 or 3 times a week. Or if
absolutely
you want to kind of like I said plateau, it'd just be twice a week or something.
Yeah. And one thing that we do too, we have all of our fitness classes right before the Krav classes start. That way, if you want to get a double header in, you can come in and get that good 30-minute workout in. That's it's 5-minute rounds, and you come get that good 30-minute workout in. And we actually had people wear calorie counters whenever they were working out, and they were burning anywhere from 500 to 800 calories per 30-minute class.
Wow.
And then after that's done, you can take the Krav Maga class. That way, you're getting a really intense workout in that kickboxing class, and then you start learning more techniques in the Krav class. Of course, you get a workout in there too.
Well, awesome. Now, and we're going to switch here to talking about, like I said, we all hear on the news. It's crazy out there. We've had a lot of violence and just a lot of things going on. And I saw one of your videos on Facebook about handgun defense, and that caught my eye. And like you had these techniques that you were showing on there of how to disarm somebody with the handgun without even having one yourself, and that kind of amazed me. Tell us more about that.
Well, the first thing in handgun defense is you have to be within arm's reach of the weapon. I've had people ask me a lot of times, well, what if I'm 20 feet away from you? I was like, well, I guess I'll be running.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get out of dodge. But if you are in arm's reach of a weapon and somebody's got a gun pointed in your face, it's definitely possible to disarm that person.
Okay.
With the right techniques. There's a lot of there's a lot of bad techniques that are taught out there. But if you have the right techniques and the right mindset, I definitely think it's possible.
Yeah.
Of course, I've never had a real gun pointed in my face.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that it's possible to defend against a weapon attack.
But you all practice it like it is real, like it is that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The guns that we use and everything they're supposed to be exact replicas of real guns, and we practice it that way because how better can you practice it?
Yeah.
You can't really take a loaded gun and chance defending against that, and I don't think our school would do very well if we did.
It's kind of got to be a reenactment instead of a real life situation there. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
And see, as me, as an outsider who didn't know nothing about martial arts or self-defense or nothing like that, to see that, because you hear so much about this, people going into malls with a handgun or with some type of rifle, and if you are close, or movie theaters, we've had that a couple of times, dark rooms, if it's somehow possible to go up and disarm them that way to protect other people and stuff, and that just really amazed me and caught my eye, and that seems to be something that needs to be taught more of.
Yeah, absolutely. With Krav Maga, one thing that we talk about is how do you know when it's time to go? Like what what is your switch? What one thing that the president of the USKMA, who's one of my instructors, teaches is what's your go button? Like, if he's in a restaurant and there's two guys that have had, a few too many drinks, and they get into a fight, does he break that up? No, that's not really his place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if one of those guys starts messing around
Turn
with
on
the
the
waitress,
crowd,
messing with somebody that can't defend themselves against that person, then it's kind of your time to step in as a Krav Maga. As a Krav Maga person,
And see, I guess, like I said, as an outsider, I've never thought of anything that way. I've never even thought this actually existed. You always hear in this world, to protect yourself, you got to have one. You got to have a gun yourself. You hear that a lot. But
I think it's just as important to have handgun training. Like again, the USKMA, to get your black belt under them, you have to have you have to do the NRA certification. You have to know how to handle a weapon to be able to defend against
be able to
weapons.
Disarm one, bro.
And like. This is something to help out the listeners here. With handguns, you always grab the barrel of the gun.
Okay.
Never grab the wrist, because then they can redirect. With knives, however, if somebody comes at you, tries to stab you, tries to come at you with a knife, don't grab the blade. Obviously, that's not going to end well. You're gonna cup the arm. You're gonna get a hold of the wrist, and the first thing you do in a self-defense situation is get a hold of the weapon.
Yeah.
Because after the weapon is no longer a danger, then it's a fair fight.
Yeah, that's right. And your chances of actually living through something's increased.
Yeah, and absolutely. If somebody's attacked you and you disarm the weapon from them too, now it's your fair game. Another one of the quotes that we use in Krav a lot is, if you ever find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And I probably shouldn't mention this, but I can't help myself but to mention this. But, and as we sit here talking about this, my mind keeps going back to all these big shootings we've had recently. The Aurora shooting with the movie theater, the mall shootings we've had. All these different types of shootings. Some's been big rifles like that Aurora guy. He had everything in the world. But some's just been simple handguns and stuff. And you all teach us, like I said, if there is a possibility somebody's just going mad, just shooting and everything, if there's a possibility somehow sneak up without them noticing you and do that, I mean, how great of a victory and how great of a thing that would be. Is that some of the stuff you all teach too?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we teach a lot of law enforcement people and people who've been in the military too, and those are people who are actively doing those things on a daily basis.
Yes.
So that's how we know that Krav Maga works. Is because it's taught across the world to law enforcement, and those are your number one people to find out. Hey, does this really work? Because they approach people like that on a daily basis. Now, me and you, there's a very small risk of people.
We don't care that every day.
That are going to get mugged.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one thing that we talked about this past year at the affiliate weekend for the United States Krav Maga Association is we talked about sexual assaults.
Okay.
In their lifetime, 10% of women will be sexually assaulted. Man. And that doesn't seem like much. Hey, it's only 10%.
That is,
but if you're in that 10%, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, and that's sad. It should be 0%. But yeah, 10% still just jumped out huge to me. That's not good. And it's like I said, there's nothing you see on Facebook all the time that the restraining order is just a piece of paper. You see that on the Facebook, and that's true. And and a lot of these places they have done a lot better with. I thought of UK just now. They have that little cat paws walk. That's the safe lit up walkway, sidewalk, and they're trying to do more things like this so people are not walking down complete. Black, no light alleys or something.
It gives people a different sense of confidence.
Because if somebody's in the light, if somebody's in some well-lit area, their odds do decrease of something happening to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and but it's also still good to know that. It's like I said, that 10%.
There's places where bad people hang out. There, another thing that we talk about is like different situations you'll find yourself in that promote violence. Like number one is any place that territories are in dispute. Like a lot of times with college people, that's an issue. Another thing is where minds are altered. In bars, things like that, where violence is known to happen, and then where young men hang out, because young men are full of testosterone and they're all alpha males. So it's the biggest things are about being aware and keeping yourself away from those places if you don't feel like you can defend yourself properly, or if you can't keep yourself safe, I guess I should say.
Yeah, or if you don't feel safe,
Absolutely.
And stuff. Well, good deal. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish up with talking about your MMA fighting career and the successes you had and your experiences in that. So don't go away. Welcome back to the Pondering Show on WKUR 94.9, your country road. We are joined in the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studio with MMA fighter and martial arts instructor Harry Hunsucker, and we've discussed pretty much everything about martial arts and the parents' concerns and Krav Maga. And we talked about self-defense, and now we're going to end the show talking about your career. And I tell a lot of people about you that we actually have somebody local here that's had a lot of success in MMA fighting. So now go ahead and tell us about that. Now, not only are you a martial arts instructor, you are an MMA fighter. And how long have you been doing MMA fighting? How did you get your start in that?
I had my first MMA fight in June of 2007. Actually, it was 2 weeks after my high school graduation.
Right. Yeah.
I took my first MMA fight, and what happened, I just had a couple of friends that were doing it, and it was really popular at the time. And I was like, "Hey, man, I want to try it," because we wrestled in the backyard all the time, and I'd get the best of them. I was like, "Man, I want to go try this out." And I went out and tried it, and I was hugely overwhelmed. I was picked to get beat in my very first fight because I was put up against a guy who was like the hometown guy. It was actually down in Russell Springs.
Okay.
And I was picked to lose to the hometown guy, and I ended up knocking him out at the end of the round. And that's actually how I met my boss. Now, he was the referee in that fight.
Well, cool.
That night. And so I started then, man, and it just it kind of become the snowball effect.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. And so that's all the way from 2007. Now, what's your current record?
My record right now is 8-4 in MMA.
Yep. So you got a good winning record. Now, and just go ahead and explain to us what some of your most memorable fights have been.
My most memorable fights would be number one would be my first fight. Because it was just crazy, man. I really didn't know a whole lot about martial arts then. I hadn't studied martial arts. I just got in there. I'd done a little bit of boxing as a kid. In Ohio, and I didn't really have any martial arts experience. I just got in there thinking that I was the man and that I was gonna beat somebody, beat somebody and win. And after that, the next memorable fight I had is I fought in Louisville one night at Triple Crown Pavilion. I was the main event, and I won the interim heavyweight title there for the Kentucky Fighting Challenge that night. And I mean, it wasn't a crazy hard fight. It was just a really memorable one for me.
Big stage.
Because it was in a big arena, and I was the main event. It was pretty cool. And then my most memorable fight is one that I lost, and it was like 2 years ago for Hard Rock MMA's heavyweight title. And I ended up losing that fight, but it was actually voted 2013 Fight of the Year.
That's right.
Here in Kentucky, because I mean it was amazing, man. I mean, I went at it with this guy for 2 hard rounds, and I ended up slipping and falling, and I just couldn't get back up to my feet. He was a good wrestler, and he ended up getting me in a rear naked choke and choking me out.
Okay.
So that's probably the most memorable fight. If I want to get amped up, I watch that fight again, and I'm like, I got to get back to here, except don't let don't let the mistake happen again.
Exactly, and I remember when that happened because that was a well advertised fight. I mean, like that was all over. I was seeing posters for that even in places.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was a big fight during that time. And now, how does MMA fighting work? I get confused on this too. Is there different levels? Or does each state have their own? Or how does all that work?
Well, I mean, it's governed differently in every state. Kentucky's probably one of the most lenient states that there is. The Boxing and Wrestling Authority took over, I guess it's been about 5 years ago or so. But whenever I first started doing MMA fights, you just showed up that day if you wanted to fight, and they'd put you on the card. They'd find somebody from the audience that wanted to fight.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So me and Josh, we have a chance.
Yeah. You got to, now, unfortunately, due to all the people that were getting in there that didn't really know what they were doing and getting themselves hurt, then the Boxing and Wrestling Authority had to start governing it a lot heavier. I mean, you have to take drug tests now. You have to be able to pass a doctor's physical. They have an age limit on amateur fighting. You have to have so much training experience now before you can even step into the cage. I mean, you have. I think it's like you have to be training for at least 6 weeks or something, and that's not much. Like when people come into Elite and they're like, how long do I need to be training here before I can be an MMA fighter? I was like, be a martial artist first, because I did it the way you're trying to do it right now, and it didn't go all that well. My first fight, I got lucky and won just because of luck and hopefully just some natural talent. My second fight, though, I got in there with somebody who really knew what they were doing, and I ended up getting my arm broken broke my jaw too. So I mean, it wasn't a good day for me. So then after that fight, I didn't fight for 2 years, man. I took time off and I learned martial arts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a cool story because, like I said, Will was at that first, he was the referee at your first fight. He kind of took you under his wing, and you can do that for others too. Like I said. Well,
what happened with Will is I fought for him a couple times, and he had heard of me, and of course I'd heard of him. He's big, he ran a huge gym down in London, and I was going to school up at Eastern, and I was training at a gym there, and for whatever reason that I stopped training there, and I found out Will was up there, and I was working out with one of my buddies one day, and he's like, "Hey man, let me take you up here, and we can train with him sometime." And I started training with him, and as I was approaching the ending of my college run, I was about to graduate. He was like, what do you think about doing this as a career? And I was like,
awesome.
I think it's awesome. How much does it pay? And
That's awesome
he showed me the numbers, and it was awesome for what I do, man. I love my job. There's nobody that loves their job more than me.
See, and you go to work every day loving your job. That's everybody's goal.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can help people that come in like we all, when we're all teenagers, we all get that invincible feeling and stuff. You got, like I said, you got people that come in. How long will it take? I'd be an MMA fighter. 6 weeks, and you can help guide them. Like Will probably did you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with what we teach, we don't technically train fighters. If somebody comes in and they want to learn how to do MMA and how to get good at it, then I'll teach them whatever I know. And if they decide that they want to fight somewhere down the road, then that's an option. But I mean, I don't support people just hopping in the cage after they've been training for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because it's not smart. I've been doing martial arts for going on 10 years now, and I still don't think it's smart when I do it. It's just something that I have a passion for and that I really want to do.
It's something in life that you'd keep growing and with, and that's one of those things. So now, and how often do y'all have fights? You say it's like twice a year? Or?
I mean, there's promotions that have fights every weekend, man. I mean, it's in the state of Kentucky, man. They put on a lot of MMA fights. I mean, one pretty much every weekend all year long. Sometimes 2 and 3 different promotions are running fights every weekend. Now, like as for myself, over the past couple of years, I haven't been fighting all that much because I was learning how to run Elite. I had an injury where it kept me out for a good 6 months, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to fight anymore because of the risks implied with that injury. And then I just been busy. I had my daughter. She just turned 1 last week, and
awesome.
And life's been crazy, so I haven't been able to fight as much as I want. But 2015, I'm planning on I'm going to take one more fight, and then I'm going to jump into the pro ranks and see how that goes for me.
Well, cool.
Yeah, my plan is to fight again in April of 2015 because I'm going to be testing for 2nd degree black belt in Taekwondo, and then I'll be testing up to level 5 in Krav too. So I kind of got to put fighting on the back burner so I can continue to get my ranks.
Well, good deal. Well, Harry, it looks like we're about out of time. Is there anything else you want to add in?
No, I mean, I think we've covered everything. Just thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
No, and thank you. Yeah.
Anybody that's interested in martial arts, feel free to, find me on Facebook or go like Elite Martial Arts and Fitness. And you can check out our website. It's www.elitema.org. And then you can also call me anytime, 859-228-0093. That's the phone number for Elite Berea.
Okay, well, good deal. And check out this guy's YouTube videos about self-defense and handguns. Now that's what really sold me on
Facebook.
That. Yeah.
I don't have the videos on YouTube yet.
Oh, okay. It's on video.
Yeah, I've got them on
okay.
Facebook. If you look me up on YouTube, you'll find some good videos though.
That's true.
Yeah,
you'll find your fights.
Some MMA fights. Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, I want to once again thank Harry Hunsucker for coming into the studio and sharing his knowledge and expertise with us, and also want to thank you for listening to the Pondering Show. And have a great weekend.